Hello, my name is Clark of Adventure, and I'd like to read to you an extract from my future forthcoming international bestseller, Dunge Bottom, Tales of an Unconventional Aviator. I was lying in the bracken at the top of Congleton Clough, near Congleton, soaking up the sun and watching the spoonbills circling high under the fluffy white cumulus clouds which dotted the bright blue sky. In the distance, the huge dish of the Jodrell Bank radio telescope was glinting blindingly in the early spring sunshine. The cloud is an 800-foot-high escarpment, covered with trees on the side that faced over the vastness of the Cheshire Plain, and is a great hang-gliding site in northwesterly winds. You had to park your car at the back of the hill, and then walk about half a mile to the take-off point, along a meandering, rock-strewn path bordered by deep gorse and bracken. I'd already rigged my glider and was waiting for the wind to strengthen a bit before taking off. Relaxing in the undergrowth, I thought I heard the mischievous buzzing of yet another horsefly. My thoughts returned to a similar time last year, when, having been bitten by such a beast, I developed a touch of mange. My reverie was interrupted by a commotion somewhere behind me. The commotion became louder until I could make out intermittent swearing and gasping, as someone obviously struggled for breath whilst doing battle with the undergrowth. I stood up, and my eyes fell upon Norman, a rotund man, pouring with sweat, red-faced and with a pronounced limp, wearing spectacles with lenses like bottle bottoms. He carried a hang glider precariously balanced on his shoulder. "Hi," I called out. "Hell of a walk, isn't it?" "Bloody right," he gasped. "You're not getting me up here again." I left him to recover his strength and breath. Eventually he rigged his glider and was considering taking off. He limped over towards me to ask a few questions about flying here, as it was his first time at this site. "So where is the best take-off spot?" he asked. I duly pointed it out. "And the landing field?" "It's over there, Norman, the long rectangular field with a farm track running across this end of it that leads to the big farm on the left, which is where you pay your site fees. Oh, and be careful of the power lines that run along the side of the track. Other than that, it's a great landing field." I couldn't help but notice that Norman seemed to take an inordinate amount of time peering myopically out towards the landing area before he limped back towards his glider and ready for take-off. I watched with interest as Norman started to run blindly towards the edge of the cliff with an increasingly ridiculous gait. As he neared the edge, I was horrified to see that his right leg fell completely off, landing in a thick bracken and leaving the empty leg of his flying suit flapping in the breeze. "Bloody hell!" was my spontaneous outburst, as Norman continued to hop the last couple of paces towards the cliff edge before falling off and disappearing from view. Fearing the worst, I ran towards the edge as fast as I could, only to see him now flying out towards the bottom landing field. How the hell is he going to survive? I mean, the blood loss must be enormous. Surely he'll be dead by the time he gets there, I thought. I watched Norman's imminent approach to the landing field with mounting horror. He seemed to be much lower than normal, although from the distance I was viewing it, I could have been wrong. No, I wasn't wrong at all, for there was an enormous blue flash as Norman flew into the 11,000-volt power lines running along the track on the approach to the field. "Bloody hell," I repeated, at a loss for more expansive repartee. I expected him to fall to the ground, but no, he and his glider just hung there like a huge bat. I couldn't decide at that moment whether to run down the hill to effect a rescue, or just amble down. After all, he had lost a leg and been electrocuted, so I suspected his chances of survival were quite small. There was a further complication of what to do with his leg. Should I just leave it for the crows and buzzards to feast on, or should I take it down so that the body bag could include a complete human being, albeit in pieces? I gingerly went over to where the leg had fallen and started to root around in the knee-high vegetation. I admit I feared what I might find, as I am not the keenest where any form of blood or gore is concerned. That explains it," I muttered out loud with some great relief. I had found his leg complete with velcro and leather straps hanging from the top of it. A false one, thank goodness for that. I chose to nip back to my car with the leg, which I noted now was actually quite heavy. I took a gentle drive down towards the landing field. After about 10 minutes, I approached the farm track, dreading the scene that would greet me. Getting as near as I dared to Norman the bat still dangling from the power cables, I stopped the car and slowly got out and walked haltingly towards the scene. As I approached, I couldn't help but notice that there was a low droning sound coming from the hunched figure swinging gently from the wires, and that smoke was slowly spiralling up from Norman's flying gloves. I slowed my pace further, and on finally arriving below Norman, I was greeted by a low, continual "Bastard! Bastard! Bastard!" emanating from Norman. "Bloody hell, Norman, are you still alive?" I yelled up at him. My fear and trepidation started to turn to anger. "Anyway, what the hell are you on about?" I further inquired. "Look at them. Just look at them. Sodding ruined. First time I warned them," he spat out with some venom. "What the hell are you on about?" I felt the need to inquire again. "My sodding gloves, brand new. First time I warned them, and now ruined," he said by way of explanation. At this point, we both looked at no doubt what was originally a very smart pair of leather flying gloves, which had now turned into a charred, smoking mess due to the electricity which had recently coursed through them. "And I've lost my leg again. How the bloody hell am I going to get that one back?" he continued, chuntering on and on, as I departed the scene due to the arrival of the fire service. Later, talking to the University Hang Gliding Club that Norman belonged to, they confirmed their fears about Norman's safety. They didn't seem to have a problem with his leg. Oh, no, that was fine. It was just that he was registered blind as well. Ah, well, that explains it then. I couldn't help but wonder as I started the long drive back home as to how twisty and turny my life had become when I could consider the previous event as something not particularly strange, in fact, almost run-of-the-mill for me in my world. So perhaps if you can indulge me, I should explain how I came to this point in my adventures. And if you would like to know more of my adventures and what went on in my world, have a look at Dunge Bottom, Tales of an Unconventional Aviator. Thank you.